All right, boom. Part 2. So Zoom is free because I'm cheap, and we run out of time. So this is the second part of What's on Your Mind, second episode.
We're supposed to continue our thoughts, but I don't remember.
Yeah. So what were you were just talking about something?
What were we talking about?
I don't know, dude. It was like a minute and a half ago. I said, hold the thought.
I got distracted. I don't remember.
We're talking policies and procedures.
Policies and procedures and young professionals. That's what we were talking
We're all
about.
young professionals. Yeah.
I
So
said,
like job postings, everything right now is like entry level in Texas, right? But why do we need entry level? Like a lot of people go through their GA process or a way of like postgraduate. And now we're transitioning into a master's program, right? It's 5 years at least.
Okay. That's still entry.
But yeah, it's entry, but why do we need to label them as entry level jobs?
or it says entry level and requires 2 to 3 years of
Yeah.
experience.
That's what I mean. Like,
That is
Or
entry
they
level.
say like GA positions don't count as experience. So then it's like, I just worked as a certified athletic trainer for 2 years. So what do you want there, friend? Not sure.
All the entry levels I was applying for in 2018 wanted 2-3 years of experience, and I had 2 years.
outside of like your GA or something like that.
I did 2 years of teaching. I didn't do a GA. I did a TA teaching assistant. And I did 2 years of PRN, and places weren't calling me. They didn't want no part of me.
And that's what I mean. Like, it's not just our profession, I'm sure, but it's crazy that it requires that. And we're expected to work for 2 or 3 years for free, basically.
I think it's crazy that people will say you're not qualified, like because they'll want X amount of time in a sport in a setting.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, Tom, you have 4 years of experience, but we wanted 3 years of D1 basketball, so you're not qualified.
Well, how do you get that experience?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, basketball is basketball, in my opinion. Whatever.
I mean, healthcare is healthcare, though.
I'm a rehab and need the same 18-year-old or 25-year-old or 12-year-old. I'm rehabbing most likely pretty much the same. A little different, but mostly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes down to networking, because if you don't know anybody, there's no job.
Yeah, it comes down to
18, I didn't know anybody. 2020, I know a lot of people, and I see a lot of jobs. So, you got to network.
I mean, my Twitter pretty much now is athletic trainers and strength coaches and doctors. Like, not really. I've got a couple personal friends that are still on there, but
PTs and nurses. Yep, that's what mine is too. Hannah's laughing because her Twitter is promoting her not to get hired.
False. Why you have to come at me like that?
Yeah, that was like a direct, like, boom.
We talked about that in the first What's on Your Mind. It was like 5 reasons not to hire Hannah.
No, it was 2 reasons. 1, can't drive the Gator. 2, wear sweatpants.
Yep.
Yeah. Tragic.
Social media.
Yep, social media.
Listen, my Twitter isn't bad.
4, GA doesn't count as experience. Why? I don't know. Like, I understand it a little bit, but overall, it's ridiculous.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know.
Question. So for someone like me coming out of a GA position next year, what advice would you have entering the job field and looking for another job post GA?
Do what? I'll tell you, I had a good point. Like, don't settle. In which I know it's hard, especially when you apply. Like Tom was saying, you apply for all these jobs, and you don't necessarily get any interviews or anything of that nature. But you still have to kind of have that. I'm trying to think of like that dream that you had. Like, try to keep a hold of that. You know, there's stepping stones to it, but at the same time, we're kind of pressured into taking these jobs for less than what we want to, or not where we want to be. But experience is experience, which you've already gotten. And so just put yourself out there, network, like Tom was saying, and hope that something comes, and it's hard. It's definitely hard to sit back and like, ooh, stressful just thinking about it. But
Yeah, I don't want to think about it, but that's about to be my life
Yeah.
like next year. So
and none of us are perfect. Like
yeah.
the Tom of 2020 would absolutely crush the Tom of 2019
Good.
in terms of just experience, knowledge, skills. And then Tom of 2019 would crush Tom of 2018. So we're all growing. No one's perfect. No one has all the answers. Like we mess up and stuff. Just apply for wherever you want to go, apply for it. The worst thing they say no.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something today, like you might not be as qualified as somebody else applying or qualified for that specific spot, but what if somebody takes a chance on you? You can always, like, are you going to rise up to it or something like that?
What I told, so in June 2018, I get the message on Twitter, hey, I see you want a job, we'll interview you. So I interview with Patrick O'Haver, Mary Spina, and Mary Easted. And I told them, I was like, hey, I don't have the best skills. I don't have the most knowledge. But you know what I do have? I'm going to come here and I'm going to work hard week in and week out. And I'm going to continue to grow and be the best me I can. And they took a chance on that. So that's all you need. Just come and do the best you can, grow and get better. And then everything else comes along with it.
With that, I think transparency comes a long ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like with anybody interviewing, and I got my experience of actually doing some interviews last summer, and that was it was cool to be on the other side of that.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tom was with his interviewers, transparency goes a long ways because that allows me to get to know you a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't want to always hear the perfect answer.
Right. That's like
Just be yourself.
When I was at Greensboro, I got to be on the panel for like our honors scholarship interviews. So it was kind of funny being on like the other side of that interview, listening to kids, because everyone came in and said like the exact same thing. Like, oh, well, what are your best qualities? Oh, well, I work hard. And it's like, okay, well, everyone here works hard. So what makes you different in that sense? So yeah, definitely being yourself is important. Figuring out your own strengths and weaknesses. That's always been an issue, not really an issue, but it's hard to think about too. And like being a good self-critic, I guess. Like you don't want to be too hard on yourself, but I think it's important to reflect and figure out like, okay, this is what I'm actually good at. This is what I need to work on. And having that going through your head.
I found myself a lot in the past couple of weeks with any situation, whether it be an eval or we have something go down on like somebody on the court or field. I just start like constantly replaying that in my mind, the following days or something until something else happens. And that's helped me kind of grow my knowledge a little bit better. And it's been cool. I haven't ever really done that until the past year or so. And I don't know why I started it. It just kind of happened, but
Not only do I do that, but when the national anthem is playing is when I lock in. And that 2.5 minutes, I'm thinking, what are we doing if this happens? What are we doing if that happens? Did you bring the crutches out? Do you have the stuff for the blood on the court? 911, door F, is that door open? Who are we talking to? Like, that's my 2 minutes. But we play the Whitney Houston Super Bowl national anthem. It's like 3 minutes long. It's great. It sounds phenomenal. But I take that time to dial in. And then once it's done, I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Something I kind of pray at the beginning of it too. I don't know, like everybody's religious beliefs, but I just pray over my athletes and myself to have the knowledge to take care of them in those situations, and it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I do that too, actually.
I think I heard the national anthem 3 times on Friday. And somebody
a lot of national anthem.
Yeah. And one was at baseball, one was at softball, and the other was at basketball. So it was kind of cool to do that, but for sure.
What
in the background, Taste
that
talking.
question? Hannah, what did you say for that question? Like before we went on that 3 minute talk, what did you say before that?
For what?
Led us to what we just talked about.
I asked what advice you would have for somebody coming out of a GA position, entering the job field,
Yeah.
like a real job.
I don't get frustrated with the short leash because you're gonna walk into someone else's house and they're not gonna give you 100% of control until you start to prove yourself.
Mm.
And then that leash is gonna grow over time.
Networking makes a big difference too with that. Like Tom like drills networking and
And branding,
100%.
it's perception. It's how you're perceived. Your skills mean nothing if you're not perceived well.
Sorry, I forgot background. Taze, we call him. He's not our nephew, but our buddy has a 2-year-old, and he
What's up,
FaceTimes every once
what's
in a
up
while.
2-year-old?
Yeah, he pottied in the big boy potty today, so if I need to, I can mute myself every once in a while. Just
No,
let me-
you're fine. You're fine. I don't know. It's hard as a young professional because you're still learning your own philosophies and what you like and what you don't like, and what rehab exercises you like to do, and what modalities you like to do, and how you like to extract.
Mm-hmm.
Had kind of had conflicting things. Like you're still trying to figure yourself out.
Yeah.
Going into school with 10 sports and 200 athletes, and they say go.
That's my biggest thing. I ask a lot of questions, like to my athletes, to my coaches, like if my beliefs don't necessarily match up, or if I just have a question in general, I constantly ask those questions. And sometimes that gets perceived the wrong way, I think, with certain situations. Like our biggest one is ice. You know, my softball coach, like they were always drilled ice and ibuprofen, instead of like promoting healthy movement and I guess tools, kind of like manual therapy and stuff of that nature. That's just an example, but like with old school and new school, we're starting to get new science and just new experience with these things and new tools to use. And I think it's hard for sometimes for that to be perceived well, especially when you're trying. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks, I guess. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything talking, but like times change, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of ranted right there, but I don't know if my point got across.
That was a very, very good point. Yeah, I agree.
I agree and I disagree because I think a lot of people are super like things are changing, yes, but just because things are changing doesn't mean that their
Change.
experience doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with that. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just like,
Yeah, no, I understand, but the people listening, they might.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say more so is like you have to accept that point of view, process it yourself, and then come to a conclusion. Like you can't just boom, boom.
I think that also comes with, you know, having a mindset of like always bettering yourself or always wanting to better your clinical practice. Like you're not going to do the same treatments and the same things every single year throughout your career. Like you have to have some level of adaptation. And going back and reading and looking at the science yourself and figuring things out for yourself to grow like your toolbox, I guess. So you just can't be complacent. Like you just always have to be learning, always growing. And I'm kind of a nerd, so that's the part of athletic training that I'm like super excited about because I just love reading and growing and learning new things.
I think it's a fine line though, you know. Like we have to stick to basics. Like the knowledge is there for a reason, and you know I'm big on trying to grow as well and trying to figure things out and do things differently. But I find myself like trying to get further and further away, and I just got to kind of bring myself back sometimes.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you think? He's muted. I think he's muted right now. I don't know.
Where is he? Tom's gone.
I had myself muted, trying to figure out the part 1 video was which one
Oh.
to upload it to YouTube. What
I think
do I
I
think?
gotta go here pretty soon, dude. I gotta go eat. I'm getting
Wait,
hungry.
what do I think about what? Say it again.
So it's just like growing and
Yeah,
kinda-
dude, I think growth scares a lot of people because they like what makes them feel comfortable, and growth is not comfortable at all because it's going to force you into different directions you're not used to. And I think a lot of people would rather just do A, B, and C over and over and over again because that's their new familiarity. If we're talking data, ISU is going to say growth mindset. That's what they call it. People just don't want to go and learn new things and implement new skills and try different stuff because it's work, it's time, takes energy.
Yeah.
You're not growing, you're dying. So
My argument there, not really argument, but my thought is, if the science is changing and your clinical practice is outdated and not contributing the best for your patient, then how are you going to be able to deliver the best health care if you're just doing what is simply comfortable for you? And also looking at the patient as a whole person, and like one treatment or one thing that you're used to doing that you feel really, really comfortable with might not be the best for that particular person. And just thinking like outside the box sometimes and figuring out what works best for different people.
I agree 110%. Anything else we want to talk about, or we just want to wrap it up?
Before we get kicked out again.
Well, I think since Bryce opened the first video, Hannah should close the second
I
video.
should close. How do I close? I don't know what to say.
Everyone's style is different, whatever you want.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and listening with us. Stay tuned for topic 5 this week. There we go.
5 already.
Undervalued skills.
Undervalued skills.
Undervalued skills. Yeah. Bryce, Hannah, thanks for your time on this Sunday night. Almost said Saturday.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm gonna go home and eat the other 6 of my dozen donuts I bought this
Oh, I
month.
thought you said you were gonna get tacos.
Yeah, you said
Oh,
Go eat you some tacos and then you can have donuts.
why not have both? Yep. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, man.
See y'all.